It was a cold November afternoon in Chicago. The wind nipped at faces as the city buzzed with life. Donald Trump, dressed in a long blue-black coat and his signature red tie, walked along Michigan Avenue. He was there for a meeting, but decided to stroll back to his hotel, soaking in the electric energy of the city. As he neared Millennium Park, something caught his eye, a figure huddled against the corner of a building. On the ground sat a woman, her clothes worn thin against the chill. She clutched a small cardboard sign that read, "Veteran in need, please help." Trump stopped mid-step. The lively crowd rushed past him, but he stood still, his eyes locked on the woman. Her face told a story of hardship, her eyes weary but proud. Against the wind's howl and city's hum, he took a step toward her. "Ma'am," he said softly, his voice cutting through the noise. "What's your name?" The woman flinched, surprised by the question, and the man asking it. "It's Teresa," she said after a moment, her voice trembling. "Teresa Hensley." "Teresa," Trump repeated, kneeling so they were eye to eye. "You're a veteran?" She nodded. "Served 12 years in the Army. Got injured overseas and, well, things haven't gone right since." Her words hung heavy in the air. Trump stayed silent, letting her speak. "I couldn't keep my apartment," she continued, her voice breaking. "I've been out here for months now, trying my best, but—" Her words faded into the noise around them. Trump's jaw tightened. A woman who had given so much was now forgotten, invisible to the world. His thoughts raced. He couldn't just walk away. Trump straightened up, pulling out his phone with purpose. "Teresa, don't move. I'll fix this." He stepped aside, dialing his assistant, Margaret. The wind whipped at his coat as he spoke. "Margaret," he said firmly, "I need the nearest hotel with a vacancy and a doctor. Fast. No delays." "On it, Mr. Trump," Margaret responded without hesitation. Returning to Teresa, Trump's expression softened. "Help is on its way," he said, pulling out his wallet. "But first, let's get you something warm." He approached a nearby food vendor and returned with a steaming cup of soup and a sandwich. Teresa's hands trembled as she accepted the food, her eyes brimming with gratitude. As she ate, Trump sat beside her, asking questions. He learned about her deployments, the injury that ended her service, and the struggles she faced transitioning to civilian life. Teresa spoke of battles she never imagined, fighting loneliness, homelessness, and the weight of being forgotten. Moments later, a sleek black SUV pulled up to the curb. The driver stepped out, holding the door open. "Teresa," Trump said, offering his hand, "it's time to leave this street behind." Teresa hesitated, her eyes searching his face. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, her voice barely audible. Trump's answer was simple: "Because someone should have done it sooner." Inside the SUV, Teresa sat quietly, still unsure if this was real. They arrived at a luxury hotel where staff greeted her warmly, calling her by name. Trump had made sure of it. The suite was breathtaking. A warm bed, fresh clothes, and a hot shower awaited her. For the first time in months, Teresa felt human again. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. A doctor arrived to check on her, treating her wounds and providing much-needed care. Trump, still in the room, made calls, more plans unfolding in his mind. Soon, Margaret returned with Lisa, a representative from a nonprofit for veterans. Lisa's kind smile met Teresa's hesitant gaze. "Teresa," Lisa began, "we're here to help. Housing, job training, whatever you need. You're not alone anymore." For the first time in years, Teresa allowed herself to hope. But as she settled in for the night, a strange thought gnawed at her. Why had Trump stopped that day? What had drawn his attention to her, out of all the people on the street? As the city lights flickered outside her window, Teresa whispered to herself, "Maybe this wasn't just chance after all. Anything else you need. You're not alone anymore." Teresa's hands trembled as she wiped away tears. She looked over at Trump, standing quietly in the corner, his gaze steady yet kind. "I don't even know how to thank you, Mr. Trump," she whispered, her voice breaking. Trump stepped closer, his tone gentle yet firm. "You don't need to thank me, Teresa. You've already earned this a long time ago." The room fell silent for a moment, the weight of his words sinking in. For the first time in years, Teresa felt more than just seen. She felt valued. By dawn the next day, her life looked unrecognizable. Veterans United had secured her temporary housing, and Trump's foundation had committed to covering her rent for an entire year. But that wasn't all. Trump handed her a check, the amount undisclosed but substantial enough to erase her immediate worries. Teresa held the check with shaking hands, her mind racing. Could this really be happening? She looked up, her eyes meeting Trump's. "Mr. Trump," she began, her voice steadier now, "you've changed my life in ways I can't even explain. Thank you from the bottom of my heart." Trump gave a small smile, his eyes filled with quiet resolve. "Teresa, you're going to do great things, I know it. Just promise me one thing." She leaned forward, eager to hear his words. "Pay it forward someday," he said, his voice soft yet commanding. A spark of determination lit up in Teresa's eyes. "I will," she promised, her voice brimming with conviction. As Trump stepped out of the suite and into the city's vibrant morning, a strange stillness lingered in the room. Teresa stared at the door, her thoughts swirling. This wasn't just a chance encounter. It felt larger, almost like destiny giving her another chance. Outside, Trump blended back into the rhythm of the bustling city. Yet, for someone left behind, his presence lingered not just as a helping hand, but as a reminder of hope, resilience, and the extraordinary power of a single act of kindness. But as the day went on, a curious thought grew in Teresa's mind. Why had he helped her? Was it her story, her sign, or something she couldn't yet understand? For the first time in years, she let herself smile, ready to face what was next. As Trump stepped out of the hotel, a quiet sense of satisfaction washed over him. In just a few hours, he had done more than provide shelter and support. He had reignited hope in a life that seemed lost. For Teresa Hensley, the future no longer looked uncertain. It looked promising. Inside the hotel room, Teresa sat by the window, watching the sunrise over Chicago. For the first time in years, she didn't feel invisible. She held on to Trump's words, "Pay it forward someday." They weren't just a suggestion, they were a challenge, one she was determined to meet. But life has a way of surprising us. Would Teresa's story inspire others? Would her newfound hope ripple outward, touching lives she hadn't yet met? Only time would tell. And so this chapter closes, leaving us with a powerful reminder. Sometimes one small act of kindness is all it takes to change a life, and perhaps the world. Thank you for staying with us until the end. If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video and share it with someone who might need a little hope today. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell for more stories that warm the heart and inspire the soul. Take care, and remember, kindness is never wasted.